Hello, and you're very welcome to the Women's Rugby Pod, episode 192. Guess who's back? Back again. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Only back on the pod, but back with her boots on. Sarah Bern, record recovery time. How are you? Beaming from ear to ear.
Yeah, no, I'm great. Yeah, it's really nice to be back fit for selection. It's been a bit of a whirlwind of the last few weeks. But yeah, really proud of the girls, and yeah, really happy to and thankful to be back for the final.
And you should be very proud of yourself because it doesn't come about through lying on the sofa and drinking daiquiris. It's about hard work and certainly, you've been putting that in. But look, we'll get into. There's so much rugby to get into. We are unashamedly going to concentrate on the PWR final. It's the top league in the world. We've got you on, and you will be involved in the match day 23 starting at Tie-Head Prop. But we've got one of your England teammates, you know very well, Mackenzie Carson from Gloucester-Hartpury coming on as well. Front row seats to the final. Thank you very much. Here all week. Um, but before that, yeah, how have you been? Obviously, recovery and the training's ramped up as well. But how have you been generally?
Yeah,
Quite
no,
buoyant, I reckon.
yeah, really good. Yeah, definitely been back in training, making sure everything's ticked off. Which is it's been fun, but it's definitely been very busy. But we did manage to get away for a little bit, hired a camper van the weekend before the semi-final. And we drove just outside of Brighton, and we turned up, and the guy said, "Oh, where are you from?" I said, "Bristol." He was like, "Oh, my son's in Bristol." I said, "Oh, what does he do?" He goes, "Oh, he plays for Bears." I said, "Oh, I play for Bears." I was like, who's your son? He was like, "Oh, Pierce O'Connor." And I was like, "No way!" Like, I was like, "Such a small world." And then Pierce messaged me on Instagram, was like, "Hope you enjoyed your stay." And yeah, it was a lovely campsite. So I definitely would recommend. But yeah, such a small world.
There you are. Well, it's two great things. A, it's a small world. B, um, Sarah Byrne doesn't wear stash around. Otherwise, he would have noticed that. But yeah, Piers O'Connor, the old Ealing Centre. Yeah, quality playing out to Bristol. Yeah, small old world. And with the sunshine cracking through as well. Yeah, nice little trip. How nice to get away. But just when you're in the middle of that injury, how dark? I mean, I won't go particularly dark on a positive final preview, but how dark do some of those days get? Do you think that this week and you starting back in a club shirt are never going to happen?
I think with my injury, it was a pretty set time frame. I couldn't have played on. I like couldn't straighten my leg, so it was stuck until I had the surgery. So I think for me, it was like um, there was nothing I needed to strengthen. It was I just had to let my meniscus heal. And then in turn strengthen everything back up. So it wasn't like there was a weakness. There was just something that needed to essentially be sewn back together and let it recover. So I think I kind of spent the time thinking like, well, it's 6 months. I've got 6 months now as an opportunity to do things I haven't done before, to try and get fit, to try and put on some more muscles. Things that you can't really do when you're playing because rugby it takes up so much time, and I very much commend the girls who are playing regularly in the Premiership and turning up to training every week and have a full time job because it is getting more and more challenging. Um, but yeah, I think as we got to the back end of my injury, I was like, oh, it feels fine, but I just have to carry on with the time frame. Don't want to push the time. And I kind of got to the last bit, and I managed to hit like my high speed meters like 2 weeks early or something. Not because they were pushing me, just because I was enjoying training, and I managed to hit it. And I was back in, and Bristol managed me really well. I was really involved with the rugby bit for quite a while now, which has given me the opportunity to be able to play at the weekend. So, um, yeah, I don't know. It's been a very interesting injury because I've not felt too stressed about it because the time frame was set. So it's actually a bit of a bonus that I've come back strong and fitter a little bit more ahead of schedule. But that's probably why, because I was kind of a little bit relaxed, or you never want to be injured, and when you're missing out on Six Nations as well, that's probably the hardest bit. But I was very fortunate, managed to still be involved and around from the media side, and then yeah, really hit the ground running after that. And I've had a great team around me to support me, so it's actually been quite fun the back end of it. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, no, I absolutely. And yeah, you adding another string to your bow. As we said on here before, who knew Sarah Bern was quite such a natural on the old media side. Um, and we don't blow smoke in our own direction a little bit, but we'll take a tiny bit of credit for that here on the WRP. You're very, very welcome. Um, Look, we're going to obviously get into the final Gloucester-Hartpury when Mackenzie comes on. But let's look back just very quickly. You were a high quality water technician during the semi final. How impressed were you with your team?
So impressed. I think probably at half time, I think the girls showed a different side. They might have previously shown some panic or a little bit of what do we do, asking questions, but they came in very composed, very much like we have this, we just need to believe in ourselves and now go and do it. And they came out in that second half and they just did it. They they didn't panic, they didn't frazzle, they were very much very calm, collective, um, and really confident. And I think that's for me, that's probably the biggest change from when we played them at Saracens away just before Christmas or just around Christmas. That was that kind of feeling, oh, we're winning and we don't know what to do. Or like we're winning and we want to keep winning, but now we're like, you don't know, it just felt like a bit of a surprise. And this time there was no surprise.
Big admirer of Dave Ward. You put in place what you were going to do, and okay, he's very vocal about having a home semi final, but you've got over that hurdle. But processes and detail and all that kind of stuff isn't it enough, is it? I know coaches always try and find sort of bigger, higher purposes. What is it with Bristol?
I think for Dave, I think and Abby, they obviously they have their family and they're married. I think for them it does mean more. It's a place for where Dave, I think he sees all of us as an extension of his family. Like, I think he does really care about us. He wants us all to do well. And the same for Tom Luke. Like, if you ever needed anything, they would be there if you reached out. And yes, he is a coach, so he can be harsh, he can be firm, but that's the life of a coach. I think for him and Abby, it's definitely he wants his wife to do well. He wants to be successful himself. He wants Hallie to have role models to look up to, and Hallie is always in and around in and around the Bears, which and everyone just adores her, and she's so gorgeous. So I think for them, although it's probably not in plain sight, if you were to come in, you wouldn't see that. I think for them, definitely, it means a lot to them, and likewise, it then means a lot to the players. It has that family feel. The work that Tom, Luke, and Dave put into it, I cannot say how much they put in. Like the detail they run through is mental. But I'm very thankful to be part of a coaching staff that work that hard. And then the same for the S&Cs and the medical team. Like it's just a phenomenal setup there. The staff are amazing.
Well, you know what they say: happy wife, happy life. Yeah, I mean, fair play to Dave Ward, managing a wife, let alone a newborn as well, coaching a rugby team. No, in all seriousness, fair play to Bristol and to Gloucester-Hartpury. Now, let's get some perspective from the Gloucester-Hartpury camp. Now, up against you this weekend, Berner. Mackenzie Carson's joining us on the WRP. Absolute pleasure to have Gloucester-Hartpury, England, Mackenzie Carson on the pod. England teammates up against each other this weekend. Mackenzie, I've called this episode a front row seats to the final. I think it's that good. I've got to be telling
Love it.
everybody. Got to be telling everyone. Where on earth are you? Because with the background, we should be calling you sort of Lady Carson.
Yes, yeah, I am just sat in my small castle here, just taking a few minutes to talk to some fans. So, yeah.
Look, brilliant. Congratulations on reaching the final. It's been quite the journey. Um, Inspired move from Saracens. I would have thought reaching finals rather
Yeah.
than going out of semi-finals. Now, look, and also you must be happy with the move. And what's pleased you most about now playing in the red and whites, the cherry and whites?
Yeah, no, it's honestly been really great. I think the group of girls is just really, really incredible. And I think a lot of them are involved with the England squad, which is similar to kind of my life at Saris. But I think, yeah, the group is just so well knit, and like they've been playing together for such a long time, like Tat and Zoe and people like that. So they're really good friends off the pitch as well, which I think really has supported me kind of moving back. And when I first moved to England anyways, I played for Bristol. So living in the West Country was kind of somewhere I always wanted to end up. So yeah, heading out of London and into Gloucester has definitely been a great move for me. And yeah, obviously making it to the final in series not even better.
And how justified is the nickname, the self-proclaimed nickname of the circus?
Yeah, to be honest, I think it actually was more. I don't really know too much about it because I'm kind of a bandwagoner. I've just jumped on the winning party actually. But I think it was more of like an off-field thing. It was just, and then somehow somebody got a hold of it, and then it's just turned into this big circus thing. So yeah, I stick to more of the cherry and whites because I like the traditional element of that. But yeah, the circus element, I think it's just a bit more like, yeah, I guess bringing kind of a bit of crazy to the party. So yeah.
What's
Linny loves it, so
yeah, no, I'm sure the Welsh wizard. Yeah,
yeah,
I can see him in one of those long red coats and a top hat.
yeah.
Perhaps not the whip in
I also
22,
really want to
but
convince him to dress up. We want to convince him to dress up as a minion because I just think he would look really, really amazing as a little yellow man. I just think it would just be really great. So we kind of want to convince him for the final to it be fancy dress, but no one else show up dressed. So we'll see how far we get with that. But
oh, brilliant. Zoe Allcroft's grew. Phenomenal. No, ladies, huge game. Bristol there for the first time, making history, winning an away semi-final. But in lines of that culture, and to both of you, what's at the very heart of Gloucester-Hartpury's culture? Because it's so important and it's spoken about a huge amount, isn't it? And those that aren't in those environments possibly don't quite understand. But what's the key, the cornerstone of Gloucester-Hartpury's culture environment?
I think like Zoe and Mo are probably a really good example of kind of what they're all about. I think people that show up every day work extremely hard and really care about one another. Like I think that's honestly genuinely all it is. And I think like the bonds that we have probably off the pitch at Gloucester are probably like a lot tighter than other teams I've been in before. And I think that it's just an environment where yeah, everyone just wants to show up and wants to work really hard, and it's just a really positive kind of like learning environment. So that was kind of what drew me there anyways, was that I wanted to get better at rugby. I wanted to play for England. I wanted to do all these things. And I think I immediately looked at that group of girls and thought, yeah, that's where I want to be. Like that's a group of people that I really want to surround myself with. And people like Tat, like they're just so hardworking. And I think we have like the kind of fun elements as well about like the circus and that. And I think that's really important as well. And I think Linny's talked a lot this week about just kind of sticking to us and being who we are and being the people that we are. And so even like this week, Maud did a Taylor Swift live concert because some of the girls missed the like Taylor Swift concert. So just like fun elements like that, where it's about the business, but it's also about enjoying it. And, not everyone's there doing it as their full-time job. And I think we meshed that really well together about that kind of balance between the fun elements and the serious kind of business side of things and getting stuff done. So yeah, I just think it's a really good group of people who really care about one another, to be honest. I think, yeah, Tat and Zoe and Mo are kind of a really good example of why that is.
Berner for the Bears?
Oh, for the Bears.
For Gloucester, yeah.
I was like, for Gloucester, I was like, I have nothing to say there.
They got a terrible culture. There's rubbish environment. Look at them.
Yeah.
No, Berner, for your team, that's you can comment on yours.
Yeah, I think similar. I think it's a bit different for us. We have a lot of players that are from a little bit further away. So we have players from, based in Worcester, based in Cardiff, based in Swansea, a very few of our players are actually based in Bristol. So in terms of that kind of team culture is very much built in the training facility. Like we've had a mini pool tournament going along this year. And I'm yet to know who the winners are. I'm terrible, so I actually did not enter, but I've really enjoyed watching everyone play. We've had Lana, Meg Varley, Abby Ward bring cakes in every Thursday, or like baking cakes or asking people what they want. We very much have a really good kind of culture with the men as well, in terms of we get fed after training, which means we all sit down and we all chat and we all eat dinner after training together, which actually makes a big difference. And it's something like we have always pushed people to stay. You're not really allowed to take the food away unless you really have to. But yeah, everyone sits down, everyone just chats about their day, and that's 3 days a week, and it makes a big difference to a team. So for us, that's how we get those social elements in, as well as having socials around the season. But then we work really hard, and that's put in by Dave, and that's put in by the leaders we have, like Amber, like Abby, extremely hardworking athletes who have been training now for a long time. And Dave he's the most detailed coach I've ever worked with. He will watch. I think he's watched every single Gloucester game for the last 3 years. In 7 times this week. Like, that's how detailed he is. And he literally be like, Hannah, I was watching you play against for Saracens against Gloucester 3 years ago. Hannah was like, what? Like, what? Is that game still even recorded? Like, so that's where the hard work comes from. And Tom Luke, obviously, he's CrossFit mad, so he's built on hard work, and he always says, work like dogs, walk like gods. And I think this year, the last 3 years, the girls have worked so hard, and I think now is the time that they believe in themselves, that actually, this could be our year.
Yeah, lovely little post that game. Yeah, Radhika walking like a god down the outside was phenomenal. Look, who comes into this semi-final in a better state in terms of Bristol of created history, beaten Saracens, which Sadi and I on last week's pod didn't expect to happen. You don't back in Saracens at home in a semi-final. And it's a really, really tough game, as opposed to Gloucester-Hartpury. Look, Exeter aren't the team that they were 12 months ago, and in the end, a reasonably comfortable win, certainly on the scoreboard. Who comes into? Where would you prefer to be? And I suspect you might say, each of our teams. But who comes into this in a better frame of mind?
I think for us as Bristol, I think us winning that semi-final away, and being the first team to ever do it, and also beat Saracens at Stone X, like that, they're massive things for us. And I think for us as a team, it's a massive confidence builder. There's no pressure on us. We've achieved history already just doing that. So for us, it's about going out, putting in a good performance. Everyone obviously desperately wants to win, but for us as a team, it's all part of our process, and we just want to go out there and enjoy it and be in the headspace to enjoy it. And we kind of are relishing the fact that we are underdogs, and people did write us off for the semi-final. So many people are like, oh, I didn't think Bristol would get there, or I booked this because I didn't think I was going to be in the final. And it's not because we didn't believe in ourselves. I think it's because it's never been done before. It had never been done to win a away semi-final. So if you were a betting person, you would put money on Saracens to win, especially after they just beat Gloucester the week before. So for us, I think we've got that kind of nothing to lose and everything to gain attitude, which I think is actually can be dangerous. And we've really enjoyed training this week, and there's a really nice vibe around us. So I think for me, personally, I would much rather be in Bristol's position, but I do think Gloucester have a lot of confidence. They have barely been beaten this season. Their team has stayed very, very fit, very, very strong. And they're the reigning champions, so they have a lot of confidence built from that. So, but yeah, I am very happy to be a Bear this week, I have to say.
Yeah, I bet you are. Back with your boots on. Yeah, I don't know. Dave Moore said first thing in that huddle, this is not our final. I guess that's the fear, isn't it, that you've sort of peaked a week early. But Mackenzie, did that sharpen the focus a little bit? Because that, basically makes Bristol better than you, doesn't it? Because Saracens beat you, Saracens beat you, and then Bristol beat Saracens. So no, but in
Yeah,
all
I mean,
seriousness,
we shouldn't forget that Bristol also lost to Sale recently, so we'll keep that in the back of our minds.
Part of the
So it's
plan.
never too. I think that's a great testament to where the league is at, though, that anybody can beat anybody on a given day. So I'll say it that in that way.
So technically, Sale are the best team in the league. So.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah, it's not a great rationale, is it, from me there? But no, it's slightly more serious, Mackenzie. Did it sharpen the fact? Oh, hello. That is a hell of a result from Bristol. We need to be on our mettle here.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, we were running out for the semi-final. Obviously, the game was playing before, and a lot of us were kind of chit-chatting. We were like, "Oh, we don't actually know who you'd rather play. Like, would you rather face, Series, who are obviously, like have won loads and they're really like a well-drilled team and have a lot of big names, or would you rather a Bristol who've never done it before and who will, run you around the park and do all these crazy things and have an exceptional front row?" So it was honestly kind of a toss-up as we were chatting, and we were like, obviously, you need to get the job done first in the semi, but we're like, oh, who would you rather face? And I think, it's exceptional for Bristol to have made it there. I think, like you said, like it's never been done before. And I think that's just, a massive well done to them, because like Sarah said, like everyone did kind of write them off a little bit, and I think it's just a really, really hard task, not only winning an away semi but also against Series. I think when it comes to like the business side of things, Series usually get it done. So it was a huge task for them, but I think for us it doesn't really change a lot of what we're doing. I think no matter who we faced in the semis and the final, we were always kind of going to go in with the same kind of plan and the same kind of like mantra, I guess. And I think it probably does kind of add that extra level to the occasion, maybe in terms of, seeing a new face in the final and kind of a recap from their semi-final last year. But I think at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter too much about the opposition. It's more about kind of what we're doing, and we've been well like rehearsed in kind of our own kind of pictures. And that's just been a huge focus for us this week, is kind of staying true to us. And I think it'll just be really exciting to kind of face Bristol, and I'm sure they'll pull some new things out the bag for a final. But I think it'll be a really exciting game no matter what. But I would have to disagree. I don't want to be an underdog. I want to be on top. It's everyone always wants to beat you on top, and it makes for better rugby. So I'm glad to be a Gloucester-Hartpury player, Sarah.
That's okay. I did see a stat the other day of a different league, and it was like 2022 league winners lost the final, and it was like that's gonna be Gloucester this year. League winners lose the final.
That'll get you.
It's been a phenomenal second album, as it were, and often second albums aren't as good as the first. And fair play to you, Gloucester-Hartpury, for getting through that. But these games have been tight against Bristol. In 24-19, at a 78th minute now, Metcalf try that gets you over the line from that one. I think, is it 12-0 at a very frosty Shaftesbury Park, but it was 7-0 till deep into the second half. They smashed you in the cup. Bristol got your number, Mackenzie, more than anyone else this term.
Yeah, to be fair, I think all of the times that we've met Bristol this season have been really close, and I think I think probably the history there of seeing them in the semi-final a couple of times is probably upped the ante this season, I think. But I think we've had a lot of injury throughout the year, and I think our team has changed, pretty dramatically throughout the season. So I think that's just kind of a testament to the depth that we have. And I think, we had, in that second game against Bristol at home, we had a lot of girls making their debut for Gloucester and coming up with the Bucks program for that game. So I think that's a really exciting thing for us, that we have young players that are just willing to take those opportunities and still get the job done. And at the end of the day, a win's a win in my mind. And, it makes for better rugby when it's a bit closer like that. But I think, I don't think there's necessarily an element of fear, but there's, obviously at the end of the day, it's rugby and anybody could win on any given day. And I think that's what makes it exciting. But I don't think Bristol have got our number. I think they've just prepared well. And like you said, like Dave's a really detailed coach, and it's not going to be an easy game where they just roll over and we just score loads and that's that. It's going to be a really tough battle right down to the 80th minute. So.
You're quite right. The word fear probably shouldn't be there. You're professional rugby player. So a question I was going to ask, but I'll sort of phrase it slightly differently. Berner, where can you get the upper hand on Gloucester-Hartpury to get the W on Saturday?
But with any game of rugby, I think it will be set piece. I think it will be set piece based. I think you look at our front row, you look at our second rows, you look at even our back row. It's a pack of international players, and I think if you can have a good day in your set piece day, I think generally that team will win it. I think also just how we play with our the way we can play for everywhere, the way we also have multiple kickers through our team. I think Bristol have really learned over this season about how to vary their attack, when to do it, and no, I know people will say Bristol don't kick, Bristol don't kick, but there are options there for us to kick, and I think for us we use them really well against Saracens, and I'm excited to see how we play this weekend because Bristol have grown so much this season. They've learned a lot. But I do think coming down to the final push, Gloucester have a very strong pack as well, and it will be the battle of the pack. I mean, there's head-to-heads all over the park. You've got Kira Bevan versus Natasha Hunt. You've got Tatiana Hurd against Amber Reid. There's so many amazing head-to-heads. But I think at the end of the day, forwards are always if your forwards are doing well, you're generally going to win. If your forwards are doing bad, it's going to be a tough day.
Mackenzie, how much tweaking are you doing this week for Bristol? I'm not asking for specifics, obviously, never would. But is it just literally more of the same that you've alluded to from Sean Lynn? It's got you through basically leading the league the entire way and only losing one league game. Is it purely about you? What's the sort of percentage that you're looking at Bristol, or just looking at yourselves?
Yeah, no, we've definitely previewed Bristol, and they obviously play quite a different shape to most of the other teams in the Prem. So, yeah, I think our defense is really key in that, and being able to kind of, mirror what they're doing and being able to put a lot of pressure on them. And like Sarah said, they have a lot of options to vary their attack. So I think for us, our defense has been really key. It's something we pride ourselves on in general, and being a really aggressive defense and being able to contain players. So I think that's something we've definitely fine-tuned this week in terms of looking at Bristol's attack, because that's where they're threatening. They have, like threats all over the park, and they've got speed out wide. So yeah, looking at that has been really important for us. And then same as Sarah said, in terms of that set piece, that's obviously really important for us with Zoe running the lineouts and, two England, front rows essentially going against each other. I think it's going to be a really, really tasty occasion. So yeah, we'll see what happens with it. But yeah, we've been kind of fine-tuning just our little bits and making sure that we kind of know what Bristol have previously done and what they could potentially bring and the threats that they have across the park. So
gutted for the likes of Kelsey Jones. I think she's gone under the knife this week. And of course Deb Wells came off on crutches at the back end of that semi-final. She's been phenomenal this season. She's how sad I am. Berner, I've done a team of the season while I'm sat here doing my bits and pieces. She's in my team of the season. Gutted for her back with a knee injury. Obviously, speedy recovery. Let's talk with the people that are playing. But just generally, how weird is it playing against? Because you guys know each other well. England days, and Zoe would know Beckett, Hannah Bottoman. You guys know each other incredibly well because you're great friends with Hannah Bottoman as well. How weird is it when you're playing each other for club? Is there a little bit of extra shoulder goes in? How is it, Berner?
I think this particular matching, Bristol versus Gloucester, generally everyone really gets on really well. So...
No, we want controversy.
I know, but that's what the first thing we said. We're like, well, it's going to be hard to be like have that bit of like. I'm sure on the day when you step on the field, it won't be hard at all. People will come down to you. They want to win. You're playing a game of rugby. You want to win. But off of the pitch, it'll be lovely. It'll be so nice to be able to say, I got to the final with my mate Zoe and sit down and have a drink with her after, and Tatty and Sarah Beckett and Mac. And it's nice to have that after the game, knowing that, that you're going to be playing this incredibly difficult game of rugby. There's probably going to be a little bit of aggro in that game, but that's the reason why we play. And afterwards, we can all go get a drink and celebrate together. You know, I mean, obviously, Gloucester will be wiping some tears away when they lose, but nah, I'm joking. I'm joking. But no matter what the outcome is, like it's a great group of girls. But yeah, I think particularly with, you know, we're all great friends, me, Hannah, Matt, in that front row, and Maudie as well. You kind of just have to set that aside for a bit, and you don't want to be mean or anything like that. You just want to do your job, and you want to do it well because you want your team to win. So it's about drawing those boundaries and just, you know, not being overly aggressive, but just doing enough for your job that, you know, you get your job done for your team.
You know, when we train together in England, like I feel like the training sessions at England are exactly like games where, you know, you're going out, you're trying to do your job, you're trying to perfect your craft, and you want to get picked at the end of the day. So I think it's kind of similar to that in terms of the club setting where, you know, we go at each other pretty hard, but then off the pitch we're kind of working together to get better. So for me, it's more about kind of like facing some of the best players in the world. I think that's kind of when it's really exciting, and you know, I think we have some of those players in the England squad, so I think it'd be a really, really good matchup. And like Sarah said, I think ask us on Sunday and maybe we'll have a different opinion about being friends again. But no, I think like it'll be a really good matchup, and then off the pitch you can kind of put it aside and be friends again. And maybe I won't speak to Hannah and Sarah for a few weeks after, but I'm hoping I'll be able to brag a little bit more, and there will be no tears from me. Sarah, thank you very much.
Well, yeah, so many times I've like played with Zoe for so long now, and I remember when me and Zoe first went into England camp and we had to do MMA fighting against each other. And we shook hands and we said, look, if we have to punch each other in the face, we have to punch each other in the face. And we shook on it. And ever since then, every time we've played against each other, if she runs a great line and I just get a little ankle tackle, I'll be like, God, that was a good line, Zoe, on the floor. Or like, if she's hit me or if I've hit her, she's like, oh, good tackle, Burns. And like a little tap on the back and run off and carry on with your next job. I think that's the bit you enjoy. There's times where you're like, I'm going to have to bounce you here. Like Hannah's bounced me against Saracen and I've gone, mate, you absolutely ruined me there. And it's those little things of banter which are quite fun. But ever since me and Zoe have shaken on it, we've always gone 100% at each other, and it's always that was amazing, well done, like that was pretty sick. So I think it's more of you hyping each other up, but also you want to win, so you want to be on that other end of the hype.
Yeah, of course. Us new media types use the expression, "Oh, it's just about bragging rights," but literally, between you guys, that's kind of what it kind of solely kind of comes down to. Is those bragging rights. I love that point though, Mackenzie, about playing against the best people in the world. You want to test yourself against the best people in the world, and in those front rows, you wouldn't be too far off a World 15 kind of front row players, would you? In there, look, your time is ticking on, and no doubt you guys have got preparation to do for Saturday. Just one last question: you're both seasoned internationals. How much do you draw on that? How much do your squads draw on that experience in playing in Grand Slam games, in World Cup finals, etc., playing in front of 65,000 people? How much do you draw on that on weeks like this, Matt?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I've probably never been as nervous other than playing in a Prem final, to be honest. So it's so funny because like, you play in all these big games, and even running out at Twickenham with, 60,000 people there, I didn't feel as nervous as I did when I played in my last Prem final. I think just because like the stakes are almost a bit higher in a lot of ways for a Prem final. Like, everyone's been working so hard all season for it, and all eyes are on you, and there's no other rugby being played, and that's kind of it. So I think, there's a lot of like chat around the Six Nations and things like that. But for me, and maybe it's because I didn't have as much experience, back then, and maybe I'll feel a bit different this time. But I think for me, I definitely draw upon those occasions to kind of think, okay, it's just a game of rugby. So it'll be interesting to see how I feel kind of going into this Prem final. But I think it's just, you have players that are going to lead you out. And I think, Natasha Hunt and Zoe are so well versed in pressure. And I think that, they'll be exceptional people to lean on. And then, we have kind of the young people there that haven't really been a part of something like that. And it'd be really exciting to kind of see them step up and shine in that occasion. So I think it's kind of a balance of both. But yeah, I think the most nervous I've ever been for a game of rugby was definitely in that Prem final when I was at series, but yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how I feel now. But yeah, no, I think drawing on that is going to be really important for the girls, but also kind of not letting the occasion kind of get away from us and just focusing on just being a game of rugby.
Yeah, like I agree. You can, although every tournament or every big game is different, you can get used to just learning, play the game, not the occasion. Just go and play it. It's the same game of rugby, it's just got different things surrounding it, which is totally in your control to pick up on or to drop. You don't need to. Just as long as you play your game of rugby and your head's on that grass pitch, it could be any game anywhere. And I think that's something that you learn when you play in those high pressure environments, to try and remember that and put yourself in those situations. But they're also the games that you kind of live for. These are why we play rugby. This is why we play a whole season long, because you're trying to win that trophy. So there's not an element of you that might be nervous excitement or some excitement to play in those big games, that's what we're here for. That's all that hard work you do for, I don't know what week we're on now, week 59 or whatever the week it is. This is what it all comes down to. So definitely from a Bristol side of things, people are just loving life. They're just absolutely loving training this week. And Dave made a joke actually in the meeting, and he said, look, I have to legally give you 2 weeks off after this, no matter what the result is. He was like, I have to do it. I don't want to, but I will do it. He was like, so if you're not excited to play in the final, just be excited that you get 2 weeks of holiday afterwards, and I'm not legally allowed to contact you. So, which was quite funny. So there's also that element of it's the pinnacle, it's the last bit, it's the last push. So just dig in, give it everything you've got, and enjoy it, because then you've got some rest, and then you roll into next season. So I think it's a mixture of learning, play that game, but also enjoy it. This is what you play for. Go out and thrive.
Gloucester-Hartpury are favourites, and rightly so, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd hope so. I think, obviously winning last season probably gives us a bit of street credit. But I think, at the end of the day, we've got players, in every position that can execute, and loads of internationals across the park. So, it'll be really exciting for us, and hopefully we can do the job again.
I can't wait to see you guys going head to head. And let's hope that hugs and handshakes off the back of it, and people aren't too disappointed, but there's going to have to be a loser. So Mackenzie, thank you so much, and we'll get the butler to log you off the call now, from your stately home. But no, it's been brilliant to have you on. Thank you so much. Enjoy Saturday, and may well catch up with you after the game.
Perfect, thank you so much.
I'm Alicia Butchers, and you're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod.
Great to have Mackenzie on. Just one thing I wanted to pick you up on. I think it's fascinating playing against your teammates. I think it's brilliant, and you and Zoe smash each other that little bit harder, and loving it. It is brilliant. No doubt you got a few little tricks up the sleeve. Would be wrong to ask about that, but very interested you just picked up on the kicking game, and so much footballing ability there. Just one final sort of technical question: how big a part is territory going to play? Because normally territory isn't a huge thing for you, Bristol, because you play from anywhere. But might that be a slight shift this weekend?
I think it depends on the game. I think it's about managing the game. I think Bristol did it really well against Saracens. Under pressure, moved them away from the try line. But also, people say we don't kick, but we also make the most line breaks. So if we don't need to kick, or there's a reason not to, you've got Flakey, you've got Emma Singh, two very good kickers in that, probably going to be sitting in that backfield. We're probably, what's the point of giving them the ball for them to kick it back down? You've got Natasha Hunt again sniping around looking for 50-22s. We know Gloucester, their baseline is territory, and then they use their forwards. So I think for Bristol, and Bristol did it really well, it's going to have that confidence to play. And if it comes down to the game where we do need to start looking at that territory, we do need to play a bit smarter, I'm sure it will come in. But yeah, don't want to give too much away. But the girls, there definitely are some things that we've been working on. And I'm really, really proud of the girls and just the confidence they have. It's a different kind of feel in the Bristol camp at the moment. I think from when I was playing at the start of the season. I think there's a lot of self-belief, which is really nice to see, particularly because we have such a base of Bristol players who have played for such a long time. When we were seventh and sixth, and we still have those players playing. So I think it's taken some time for them to believe in themselves and believe that they are a top 4 team, and they're one of the best teams in the world.
And a result like Saracens obviously is going to give you that confidence. A team with a load of line breaks, and Sarah Bern's been out all season. Just chuck her in the mix as well now. Woohoo! The outside centre playing in the front row. Oh, look, we could talk about it for hours, and well dodged that slight curveball I've just thrown you. Well done, but you just got to prod ever so slightly. Look, as you say, we could talk about it for hours and hours and hours, but yeah, that's a pretty decent preview from people right in the centre of it. Look, let's catch up with the rest of the news. Here's Rori Taylorson.
Hello, Berner and Johnny. Not much news this week as teams move into the off-season. I'm Rori Taylorson from Weybridge Vandals Valkyries, and we start with Canada, who made it 2 from 2 against Spain, who are preparing for that World Cup qualification shootout match against Wales later this month. Having won 27-12 in the first encounter, it was Spain pulled that margin back to just 1 point, with the Canadian side taking it 27-26. Colombia had a good win over Trinidad and Tobago, 96-0. Good game time ahead of their key World Cup qualification match against Brazil in Paraguay on the 29th of June. Fiji have been hosting Japan. Remember, Elena Thomas, their high-performance manager, told us about that on the pod the other week. Japan were victorious 24-15 in Suva, with the second test this Thursday. Japan have also announced 2 tests against the USA in August on the 11th and 17th. The Olympic repechage takes place in Monaco at the weekend. One last chance to qualify for Paris later this summer. Good luck to all the teams. Might see some of you at Sandy Park on Saturday. Can't wait for the game. Come on, Berner! That's me, Rori Taylorson, signing off.
Bern, I can't express to you how pleased I am for you getting back out on the park, and for any Red Roses fan, in fact any rugby fan, to see you and what you're capable of on a rugby field is an absolute delight, and people will be delighted to see you back on the park. So well done for you and your hard work. We got to wrap it up for another week. There are a couple of little shout outs.
Shout out to Georgie Paris Redding. Wishing you all the best for your rehab. Yeah, good luck with that one. It's not a nice injury, so yeah, wishing you all the best with that.
Yeah, we spoke to about Deb Wills as well in a similar kind of boat. Kelsey Jones. Yeah, talking of Georgia, Katie Benson as well. 50 appearances up for sale back into the season as well. So well done to her. Staying at Sale.
Yeah, Vicky Irwin. Staying at Sale. Vicky Irwin remains head coach of Lancashire Women. Didn't want to get that wrong. So yeah, congratulations to her. It's great to see women staying around, getting those coaching roles. So yeah, really well done to her.
Hang up the boots, a player, but not as a coach. Berner, all the very, very best of luck. We've got to sort of say slightly impartial, but let's just say 51%, 49% the way of the Blues with this weekend. And you know, genuinely, I think Bristol are going to do it.
According to Rafa, when he gave that speech this week, Rafa Nadal, you only need to win 54% of your shots or something like that. So that's all we need to do is win 51%.
There you are indeed. Thank you to Mackenzie Carson coming on. Yeah, really thoroughly enjoyed that chat, and thanks to Tom for doing all the bits in the background. Just a final reminder, Gloucester-Hartpury against Bristol at Sandy Park, 3 p.m. If you can't get down there and I understand ticket sales are going pretty well. Then TNT Sports, and it's on the BBC iPlayer as well. Go well, Berner.
Thank you. Thanks, Johnny.